The next morning, bright and early, I went to the post office. Deliberately, I chose one nearer to Tulip's house than ours. I didn't want to run into anyone I knew, not when I was wearing Mum's black skirt and sweating rather badly. "The first 9 words are twopence," the lady behind the counter said, looking down her nose at me. "After that is a penny a word." I prayed it wasn't obvious I'd never sent a telegram before. Without my school hat, I might pass as an office junior on an errand, albeit a very young one with clammy hands. I thought how Tulip would be confident, smiling, looking everyone in the eye, and tried my best to do the same. Here, I slid the money all in halfpennies. She counted it, then passed me the form to fill in. 9 words wasn't much. I settled on change of plan, stop. Go to Luxor, stop. Tickets on way, stop. I signed it, Mr. Pemberton. When I finished, the post office lady checked it and then sent it off. I tapped my foot nervously in time with the telegram machine. When will it be delivered, please?" I asked. She glanced at her watch. "Give it 30 minutes." I couldn't wait. I couldn't believe it had been that easy and, oops, that fast. My optimism didn't last, mind you. Halfway down the street, I heard the first of the day's newsboys. It wouldn't have been such a shock had I seen the headline over breakfast, but I ducked out this morning too keen to eat. "Carter discovers tomb, steps as hunt for King Tut closes in." Panic washed over me. So he'd found the official tomb, or at least the way in. This was just the sort of development we didn't need. How much longer would it be before Mr. Carter dug his way right inside? How or who would the curse strike then? I couldn't shake off the feeling of danger hanging over us. If there was a downside to reading Lyssandra's account, this was it. I worried now that almost everything was a sign. I just prayed that Tulip's part of our plan had gone as smoothly as mine, but by the time I reached Makepeace Avenue, it was nearly 10 o'clock. I'd come to give Tulip the jar and the professor's translations. Thankfully, she answered the front door, grabbing my sleeve and practically dragging me inside. "Have you seen the news this morning about the tomb steps?" I asked. She nodded, a finger on her lips, and hurried me to the library, where she shut the door. She shut the door behind us and leaned against it. She looked rather grim. I perched on the sofa next to Oz, who was biting his skin around his fingernails. "What's wrong? Has the telegram arrived?" I asked. "Yes," Tulip confirmed, "though I'm afraid Mama got rather upset." My stomach dropped. "Does she want to go to Luxor?" Yes, of course she does," Tulip quickly reassured me. "It was just a bit of a shock seeing the telegram boy's uniform and his red bike and all that. It reminded her and us of the day we got the news that Alex was missing." I felt dreadful for not thinking of this. Clearly Tulip did too. She hurried on. "Anyway, I've picked up the tickets. I'll tell Mama the Washington Post sent them." Fetching an envelope from the table, she waved it triumphantly in the air. "Train to Athens, boat across to Cairo, another train down to Luxor. I've even booked us in at the Winter Palace Hotel and return tickets for 3 weeks' time." I whistled. It was incredible what confidence and right-sounding voice and a telephone you could achieve. Tulip was amazing. I was completely in awe and so grateful. I felt suddenly choked up. What I mean is, thank you for what you've done," I stuttered. "Don't simper, Lil," she said playfully. "It's not your style, but I couldn't have done any of this on my own." "What if your mum finds out she's paid for everything, though?" I asked, because I still couldn't believe it had gone so smoothly. "Won't she go bonkers?" Tulip rolled her eyes. "I told you before, everything's on the Washington Post account, just as usually happens if I'm sorting out a train for Mama." I wasn't sure if it was genius or madness, but our crazy little plan was working. "You're leaving tonight, aren't you?" "Yes, from St Pancras," Tulip said. "The 7 o'clock Continental Express to Athens." Everything was in place. Tulip, Oz and their mum were travelling on a train, on a boat, all the way across Europe and the Mediterranean to Egypt. How I wished with every ounce of me that I was going with them. I couldn't bear to even imagine what it would be like anymore. I took a long, slow breath. All that was left to do now was hand over the jar. Opening my satchel, I passed the box to Tulip. "I've tucked the translations inside," I told her and Oz. As she went to take it from me, I felt a sudden twist of fear. What if this wasn't the right thing to do? What if something happened to the jar, or worse, to Oz and Tulip? By asking them to do this for me and for Grandad, had I just passed on the curse to my friends? Lil, Tulip said gently, you can let go of the box. Sorry, here, take it. It was too late by now to do anything else.